What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Alright, so this is the situation we have right here. This is the tropical wave that's currently now off the coast of Africa right here. The two parts of the wave are starting to converge a little bit. It might fully combine into something a little bit larger, probably in the next few hours or so. We're going to have to pay attention to that, but the main story for right now is these two tropical waves right here. They only have a 20% chance of development, but if we take a look at the long term, we're going to have to pay attention to it, because this is what we're looking at right here, 20% chance of development for the Caribbean wave. Shower and thunderstorm activity remains disorganized, associated with a tropical wave located a few hundred miles east-southeast of the Windward Islands. Environmental conditions could be more conducive for slow development of the system in several days after it crosses the Windward Islands and moves across the eastern and central Caribbean Sea late this week and early next week. Formation chance in the next 5 days, 20%. But I want to show you guys this because I want everyone to understand this, because the convection around the entire tropical wave is starting to improve, and it's been improving significantly for the last few hours right here. So this is definitely an area we need to watch very closely, as that convection is starting to bubble up, and if all that starts merging together and we start seeing a more close center of circulation right there, that's when it is designated. That convection right there is closing in on Barbados right there, so they're probably going to get some heavy rain from this. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the global sea temperatures and wind shear just to see how this is going to develop. So, the global sea temperatures right here, 28 degrees, extremely warm water. There's nothing really going to stop this, stopping this at this point right here. It just needs to organize quickly, and if it does, then it'll be in great shape. But it's not going to happen until after it crosses the Windward Islands right here. So yeah, 28 degrees plus right here. The wind shear, very impressive, very impressive in a bad way, kind of. There's weak wind shear across the entire Caribbean Sea right here, and there is a little bit of wind shear towards the southeast of it right there. I'm not sure if the storm's making that or not. It's most likely not, but where the center of circulation is the center of the storm is, at least, there's not very much wind shear, but we're going to have to continue to monitor it as time continues to go on. That wind shear from the Azores Island, from the Canary Islands rather, is starting to come down into the main development region. It's going to make it a little bit more hostile for development, but with that being said, that's still an area to watch right here. If we take a look at this once again right here, it's looking better by the day. The convection, once it enters as it's entering the Atlantic Ocean, it's in 28 degree Celsius water right there, or about 83 degrees Fahrenheit if you live in the United States. So yeah, plenty of warm water. The wind shear in the general area over here is weak, but it does get stronger as time continues to go on in this area of the Atlantic right here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and pull up the GFS model run right here, because we have 3 GFS model runs we need to show you, because each of these consist of hurricane possibilities, and I want everyone to pay attention to this, because everywhere from Louisiana to South Carolina needs to be on watch for this, because this is what we're looking at right here. This is the latest development we have. This is in the next 90 hours right here. The system starts to slowly develop in the Caribbean Sea. We have that tropical waves trying to develop in the Atlantic Ocean. It's likely going to be the next tropical wave that starts to develop, but if we take a look at this right here, this is where it is. It makes landfall on Jamaica as a tropical storm, starts strengthening at a considerable pace, makes landfall in Cuba after impacting parts of the southern half of it, and then it enters the Gulf of Mexico, and this is where we need to pay attention to this right here, because if we take a look at this right here, this is 968, 961, 953, 946, 938, 936. Yeah, that is a Category 4 hurricane right there. The GFS 18Z is anticipating right here, and it's expected to make landfall in the Florida Panhandle according to this run. Keep that in mind. And then it makes landfall. It moves through into the Midwest, and then eventually it's absorbed by another wave. This one right here starts to develop. It doesn't really develop into a strong hurricane or anything like that, but it is an interesting thing we need to pay attention to, nor does it affect land. Now let's go ahead and show you the 0Z run right here. The 12Z isn't ready yet, so that's why we're not showing that, but the 0Z is also quite interesting, although not exactly in the same way, because we go out about 5 days or so, it starts to develop, intensifies either to a strong tropical storm or makes landfall in eastern Cuba, moves to the east coast of Florida, and then eventually makes landfall near the Georgia-South Carolina border as a potentially Category 2 hurricane right here. So that's why I'm taking these models with somewhat of a grain of salt, but I'm not dismissing them completely because we already have an area of interest that's approaching the Caribbean Sea, and there is that potential, there is that weak wind shear, and there is that warm water right there. The Sahara dust is weakening considerably too, so that's also why I'm not dismissing it completely. So it makes landfall in South Carolina, moves off the coast, and eventually dissipates right there. So that's the next run. Let's go ahead and go to the 6Z, because this is also a pretty interesting situation we have right here. Let's go ahead and start with its development. It starts to develop. It actually takes a path kind of similar to that of Hurricane Ida in 2021. And I'll show you why, because it makes landfall in western Cuba. It then moves into the Gulf. It starts really ramping up in intensity right there as it's approaching the Gulf. And then it makes landfall near the Lake Charles area in Louisiana right there. While at the same time, we have another hurricane that's developing, probably from that next wave that we're taking a look at, and it stays out to sea. So that's something we're looking at. That's something we need to pay attention to. That's something anywhere from Louisiana to South Carolina needs to pay attention to. Get your hurricane preparedness plan ready now. It's better now than never. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps me out, helps me make more videos like these. The goal of this channel is to get more people engaged with weather. But with that being said, have a wonderful day. Stay safe.